doing? How you doing? This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce for the Views Express on the Liberty and Freedom Network, broadcasting live on Spreaker.com. We are live. I had an earlier podcast, so please go check that out. It is the 13th of August, 2012. Yes, we have a lot, or I have a lot, or you have a lot to listen to. I have a lot to say. Usually works that way. We have no guests today. We have usually have guests on the Diana and Wayne Grab Bag Potpourri Talk Show. We usually, and my friend and I, Laura Clemens, Reverend Laura Clemens, usually have a show on the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, depending, called The Show with No Name, because we couldn't come up with a name. So there you go. And Diana and I have Diana and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri Talk Show on Friday evenings at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 midnight on the East Coast. And yeah, plugs for those two shows. Anyway, lots going on. There's been a shooting in Texas at a university down there, and yeah, 3 people are dead. Another shooting. Okay, just put 2 and 2 together, folks. Another shooting. Want to follow along about what I'm going to be talking about? Go to Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. I got a picture up there from Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura on True TV's photo. It's a photo. New electric fences for the government's loving re-education FEMA camps conveniently built all over America in perfect timing for the controlled demolition of our economy via espionage. But what I want to get into here before the break is this. Now remember, we just had a shooting in Texas just today. 3 people dead, including the gunman and an officer and one other male student, apparently. But that's in the mainstream news. But I wanted to, now remember that shooting last week as well. Now, over at the Intel Hub, you can click on the link on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Prepping for Civil War. DHS set to purchase up to another 750 million rounds of ammo. Alex Thomas over at the Intel Hub writes this. Thank you, Alex. Posted today, the 13th of August, 2012. The Department of Homeland Security has already purchased over 750 million rounds of ammunition as they lead up to what many believe will be the large-scale confrontation with the American people. Now, a new purchase order has been uncovered at the infamous FBO.gov website that includes up to another 750 million rounds of various types of ammunition. Let me interject something. The government goes to the ammunition manufacturers and they say, we want an indefinite contract with you to purchase every single piece of ammunition you have. What does that tell you, folks? That tells you that you and I aren't going to be able to get ammunition for our weapons. Well, guess what? I think it's time we stock up right now. Go out tonight and buy as much as you possibly can. I don't like violence, folks. I don't condone violence. I do support defense. And if you have to defend yourself, I'm with you. Continuing, the cover of the order is that the ammo is for, quote-unquote, training. purchases, yet this total purchase would mean that Homeland Security has ordered over 1 billion, that's with a B as in boy, 1 billion rounds of ammunition, bulletproof checkpoints with stop-and-go lights, riot shields, painted everyday Americans as terrorists, and worked in conjunction with the U.S. Army to prepare some sort of civil war. Quote unquote, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, Glencoe, Georgia, anticipates awarding multiple award indefinite delivery and indefinite quantity firm fixed price contracts for commercial leading training ammunition of various calibers for law enforcement officer firearms training courses at the following FLETC facilities: Glencoe, Georgia, Artesia, New Mexico, Cheltenham, Maryland, and Charleston, South Carolina, and to other Department of Homeland Security agencies. The government guarantees a minimum. Of 1,000 rounds per year on each resultant contract. Contracts will be for a base year and 4 12-month option periods. It's in quotes, folks. There's a video associated with this on End the Lie YouTube channel. Madison Rupert detailed the purchase and Homeland Security's apparent obsession with snatching up seemingly all the ammo on Earth to the point of absurdity. He also noted that even if this ammo was purchased strictly for training purposes, we simply do not have the money to be buying hundreds of millions of rounds of ammo for agents who operate solely in the United States. The fact that there is an ever-increasing likelihood of a financial collapse in America is another much speculated about reason for the recent ammo purchases and plan for civil war as a whole. As Paul Joseph Watson noted in a recent article, quote, a 2008 report produced by the U.S. Army War College's Strategic Institute warned that the United States may experience massive civil unrest in the wake of a series of crises which it termed, quote-unquote, strategic shock. Quote, widespread civil violence in the United States would force the defense establishment to reorient priorities to extremize to defend basic domestic order and human security, unquote, stated the report authored by retired Lieutenant Colonel Nathan Fryer, adding that the military may be needed to quell, quote-unquote, purposeful domestic resistance, unquote. Quote unquote. Continuing, in the last 5 years, we have seen literally dozens of examples that prove that startling fact that portions of our government are planning on turning the guns on the American people. Just as the terrorism narrative changes from Al-Qaeda to homegrown American terrorists. It is absolutely imperative that the citizens of this once great country continue to speak out about this buildup by telling friends and family, and perhaps most importantly, reaching out to the military and police officers in your area with the hope that they will stand with the people rather than the tyrants. Click on the link on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Preparing for Civil War. DHS set to purchase up to another 750 million rounds of ammo. I don't know what to tell you, folks. What a way to start a show, right? We're here for another hour and 50 minutes. I'm not going to rant on this because I've already said that I am for defense. I do not condone violence in any way, shape, or form. I support defense. And if it's going to be an us against them scenario, if it's going to be to the point where you and I, we the people, have to defend ourselves against our own government, That is a scenario I don't want to see. And I don't think you want to see it either. But it is a reality. I suggest that everybody listening to the sound of my voice that can, after the show, actually you can listen to the show in the archive. You can just come back here, go to Spreaker.com and click on the play button for today's show and listen to it. But I suggest you go out and get as much ammunition as you possibly and financially can get. So I guarantee you, word has it. I myself have seen bits and pieces, but also have listened to other shows that have said that their insiders have said, look, somewhere between September and October, something is going to happen. Don't know quite what it is. I'm not saying that the world's going to come to an end or things are going to collapse or anything of that nature, but look for something to happen. Now look at what just happened in the past month. 3 shootings. Movie theater, Sikh temple, and now this today in Texas at a university. Chances are, I could be wrong in this, and I hope that I am. Chances are that the president will declare a national emergency and shut everything down, including suspending elections, making him the only one in control. No more presidents, no more election. He is now the dictator. I could be wrong in that. But all signs are leading to the same road. You know what I'm saying? Okay? Looking at the Spreaker chat, I see Paranormal Phil there. Hello, Phil. Always good to know that you popped in. Hey, if you got to leave and go do stuff, just let me know, because I know you got a show tonight. Right there on PRT Paranormal Talk, right here on Spreaker, and also on Youron.net. That's YOUREON.net. Tonight, I believe, at 9 p.m. Pacific. Go check it out. It's awesome to always have him around. The thing is, when you look at this stuff, go to Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Prepping for Civil War. DHS set to purchase up to another 750 million rounds of ammunition. With the 250 they got before, the 750 million they got before, now a new 750 million they got right now. That's over 1 billion rounds of ammunition. Now, I know they don't get it right away. It takes time. Yes, it does take time to get it. But it's an indefinite contract. Okay? It's indefinite. And like I read the article, you can go read it yourself. It says 4 years or 3 years or whatever it was the contract is for, and it has a 12-month option after that. No, it's indefinite. Because you know darn well the government's going to come in and say, hey, you want to continue? Yeah, sure, why not? Okay. I've dealt with companies. Back in the early 90s, I was working for a company that sent materials and hearing protectors and gun cleaners and all that to the people overseas. Okay? They had a military contract. Okay? So I know what goes out. All right? But when you look at what is happening, when you look at what is happening right now, what do you see? Several weeks ago, we had the Colorado shooting, and then the shooting at the Sikh temple, then the shooting today, or whatever it was today, at the university in Texas. Hello? What do you see? You see everything lining up for the government to come along and say, oh, we've had shootings, we have to suspend the Constitution. Why? Oh, because we need to keep you safe. The next step in that parade, folks, is having big old trucks coming to your house, kicking your door down, taking your stuff, and taking you and your loved ones to a re-education FEMA camp somewhere. We're just keeping you safe. No need to resist. Bullcrap. Okay? Hello? Oh, they wouldn't do that. Oh, yeah, they would. Phil, you live down there near Riverside, or in Riverside, in that great little city down there. How far away is that from Anaheim? I ask him, he's in the chat room. How far away is that? You know, I don't get it. I don't get why people are going, you know, I don't want to hear all that. I had somebody tell me today that they listen to my show when it's in archive. They listen to it because they know that there are certain people in the household that aren't so, well, let's put it this way. They think I'm full of crap. And this one person says, no, he's not. He's got the evidence to prove it. You know, and these people are going, no, that's all bull crap. No, it's not. Hello, wake up. You know, it's not. I just read you part of the article. Okay. 750 million rounds. Another 700. I just read you the article. It's not bullcrap. Okay, it's right there. Hello. Okay. I know people who will watch their TV and believe everything that is on there and say, oh, that's the way it is. That, you know, let me fill you in on a little secret here, folks. When the TV was invented, yeah, it was entertainment. It was, you know, a distraction. It was brand new. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew what they could do to use it until about the 50s, 1950s, or even sooner than that. The government came along and went, ooh, psychological operations, cool. Psychologists and scientists got together and started researching the flicker rate on your TV. Then they began to do other things. I remember reading an article from the 1960s where there were subliminal messages in your movies that would flick by. It would just, boom, flick by. And you'd see, you yourself wouldn't see it, but you'd see popcorn or soda or a candy bar. Your subconscious would see it, and in the middle of the movie, you'd go up and have to go to the bathroom or whatever and get something to eat, right? Now, that is a psyop. Psychological operations. They use that. Now, former military psyop people have come out and literally blown the whistle on all of it, saying your news media is being fed information by the federal government. Your programs, your Hollywood movies, all of that is based upon and actually operating under psychological operation policies. We want the people to see this. Look at what happened. Give you a prime example. I'm a big fan of the movie Batman with Michael Keaton, you know, Val Kilmer, all that. Even Adam West in the old show on TV. Big fan. It went from being funny, humorous, lighthearted, little drama, not bad. I don't know why they chose George Clooney to play Batman, but then it got darker. Because, and this came out, because they want to show overall, my point is, all patriots are seen as, all freedom-minded, liberty-loving people like you and I, are seen as the terrorists. Why? Oh, because we don't like we question the official story of 911. Hello? It's an inside job. It's that freaking simple. Okay? We question the Oklahoma bombing. We question, Haskell, who just won a Senate seat, by the way. The lawyer who was on the plane that saw for himself and witnessed the State Department official getting that person on the plane who, almost blew up his manhood, if you know what I mean. Let me bottom line it for you. It is all fraudulent. It is all a lie. We don't have a legitimate government. What we have is an illegitimate administrator pretending to be president of the United States. And that goes back to 1913. Actually, longer than that, but when President Woodrow Wilson signed everything over to the bankers, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Federal Reserve, all that. Go check it out. But here we are, and we're looking around, and we're saying, why is there law enforcement personnel in military garb? And why did the Pentagon... Why did the Pentagon tell all law enforcement, we got surplus stuff here. We got surplus military equipment. You can have it. All you got to do is pay for shipping. I've seen, and I'm sure, Phil, you've seen it too, where train cars have gone by, flatbeds have gone by with military stuff, military hardware, tanks, Humvees, you name it, it's there. Some stuff was covered up. Don't know why. But I've seen videos. You can go to YouTube and look these videos up. They're getting ready for a huge, massive civil war because you and I, we the people, the patriots, the freedom lovers, the liberty-minded, know the facts, and we question everything coming out of Washington, D.C. And guess what? The vast majority of us have found out the truth. And they don't like it, and they're shutting everything down as they go along so that you and I will not be able to stand up and say, we're done. We're taking this government back. By the way, people, let me share with you a little tidbit. You and I, we the people, are the government of, by, and for the people. Washington, D.C. is nothing more than what? Corrupt crooks looking for a power grab to take control of you and I and destroy the sovereignty of the U.S. and get rid of the Constitution Bill of Rights? I wonder how they're going to do that. Oh, bingo, answer. President Obama is on the Security Council of the United Nations, which is against the law. Eric Holder shipped the guns to Mexico so that they can ship the drugs over to the U.S. Yeah, it comes from Afghanistan. Military, army have said, you can go look it up, Geraldo, he was on Fox, the military said they are protecting the fields where they produce the drugs, and the military is helping them ship it over here, or actually shipping it over to Mexico, so that they can ship it into the U.S. It's all a fraud. Okay? School loans are a fraud. Bank loans are a fraud. Home mortgages are just completely... Everything that they're doing is illegal, according to constitutional law. Go look it up. Grab your basic Black's Law Dictionary, 2012. Go back 10, 12, 20 years ago if you'd like. Go look in all the law books. It's on the books. What Washington, D.C. is doing is against the law according to constitutional laws, governed by what? Protecting us, but governed by you and I, we the people. That's why when churches, when people, put together a church and all that, and they have to sign the 501c3, you should not do that. Nowhere in the law does it say anyone who forms a church has to sign that. Why? Constitutional protection under the First Amendment, freedom of religion. The IRS, I'm a minister of Universal Life Church who for many, many years has been fighting with the IRS. The IRS in every single case has won. Here and there they've had things stopped, whatever. But in every case, Universal Life Church won every single case against the IRS under First Amendment, freedom of religion. The government, or Washington, D.C., does not like the fact that we are well informed and that we know what we're doing, because they don't like the fact that we can hold them accountable and responsible for their criminal activities. That is why, as you have seen in the past 6 months or longer, 3 years, 4 years that he's been in office, they've been systematically shutting down things and suppressing us and our constitutional, rights. Okay? This is what they've been doing. President Obama, in his so many months being in office, has signed 293 executive orders. I'll get the one after the break. It's freaking ridiculous, folks. It's freaking ridiculous. Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com, freeamericaradio@usa.com. That's my personal address for the show. Email the show at libertyandfreedomnetwork@usa.com, libertyandfreedomnetwork@usa.com. And go to Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook to check out what I'll be talking about. I'll be back after this.
Listen to Angel Clark Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Radio Freedom News Network. RadioFreedom.us.
Have you heard about a show called Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri? It's a talk show. Well, it's called Grab Bag Potpourri for a reason. They talk about everything under the sun, from education to politics, from lines at the cashier in the stores to parking lot drivers not paying attention. You want real radio? Well, you don't get any more real than that. That's Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri talk show. Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of fun.
We went to the streets to ask people, what do you like about Doc FM? Oh, well, I think he's sexy. He has a very sexy voice, and he makes my headphones tingle.
I think the doctor is very smart. Everything he tells you, you must learn it, because it is smartness to know. Plus, he plays my favorite music. He plays like the 80s and the 70s and the 44s and the 62s.
J'ai pas eu une seule occasion de rester sans rien faire depuis que je suis arrivé à Camelot. Je suis trop occupé à courir derrière Arthur. Fais ci Merlin, fais ça Merlin. Et quand je cours pas derrière Arthur, je fais des corvées pour vous. Et quand je fais pas ça, j'accomplis mon...
Doc FM on Spreaker.com.
Well, it's no secret that Doctor won't play none of that countrified music, so I don't really listen to him that much, but when I do, it's a hoedown. The first time that I listened to the Doctor, he was making fun of the British. After I got over my attitude, I came back and listened to him. He's wonderful and raucous.
Listen to Doc FM every Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Central, right here on Spreaker.com.
Hey, I'm back. And if I hit the right volume control, you can hear me. I'm back. This is the views expressed for the 13th of August, 2012. Yeah. What are we going to do when the crap hits the fan? Are we going to sit around and watch stupid reality shows? Huh? Are we going to sit around and just, let the crap hit the fan and, worry about it later? I had somebody ask me, or the statement was made, geez, this 2012, December 21st thing is kind of, spooking me or whatever, and I had somebody talk about that. And I thought to myself, is it true that the Mayans just ran out of rock and it's just going to freak us out like that one cartoon you've probably seen? This will freak somebody out in the future. Is it true? Is all of the prophecies that we've heard about true? I can't say if they are or aren't. I can only say that what I've seen is somebody said something many years ago. Many years later, it came true. All I can say is circumstances led up to that. Was a self-fulfilling prophecy? You can look in history and look at Adolf Hitler, who used Nostradamus' prophecies to get everyone so scared and upset that he literally fulfilled his own prophecy of his own demise. He knew he wasn't getting out alive. He knew it. He was only 50-something years old when he died. But he knew it. Okay? We know that we're not getting out of this world alive. Our spirit is going to go wandering around elsewhere and have another life somewhere. That's fine. Hey, I'm looking forward to that. But this body that we're in ain't going to be around forever, folks. Okay? But in the meantime, we have to do what we have to take care of it, to take care of our friends, our family, our cities, our counties, our states. We have to do what we have to do to survive. We have to do that. I don't know too many people who would disagree with the fact that we have to survive. I really don't. I really don't. Okay. Now, Paranormal Phil, who's in the chat room, thank you, Phil, put up something which I wanted to talk about later, but I'm glad it's here because I got a lot of other stuff to discuss too. There is parents, hello parents, yo, over here, hello. There is no law that says you have to vaccinate your children before they go to school. There is no law. If the school looks at you and says, it's our policy, you tell them, your policy sucks. My kid's coming here. And if they still will not accept your child, you tell them, good, I'll homeschool them, and that way you won't get federal money for my child being in the school. And on top of that, I'm going to go talk to my attorney and leave the school. I've known people to do that. And guess what? The school's going, wait. Even when you take your child to, let's say, first grade, second grade, whatever, and the school says you have to vaccinate them before they come here, you take with you documents that show there is no law stating that they have to be vaccinated before they go to school. Show them. By the way, the receptionist at the front desk or whoever enrolls the children is not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. They're going to say, well, it's our policy. They're going to hold to that script until you tell that receptionist, I want to see the principal now. Well, he's not in. Well, I'm going to go back there to his office and I'm going to find out if you're lying or not. Better yet, if you don't want to go through that whole headache, homeschool your child. Homeschool. There you go. Go to the district and say, because you refuse to take my child and there is no law stating that I have to vaccinate my children before I send them to school, I'm homeschooling my child. And if they say, well, and they give you that liberal bullcrap line of, it's policy and all this, you say, I want an appointment with the superintendent. Matter of fact, you tell him I'm coming tomorrow to his office at 9 a.m. And you go in and you show the school superintendent, there is no law, this is what I'm doing, yada, yada, yada. You tell him what you're basically doing is you're holding him accountable for his actions. That's what you're doing. In reality, you're holding him responsible for his lack of intelligence. And if they still refuse you, there's, I think, at some point in some cities, or in all cities really, there is this free legal aid type situation going on. Or you can go to places like ACLJ, the American Center for Law and Justice, or any number of places like that. And you go to the school district and you say, here's the documents proving that you're wrong, and here's my attorney to make sure that you understand you're wrong. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm giving you scenarios of figurative, processes that you can possibly go to. You got a choice to do whatever you want. But if your child is that important to you and you want to send them to a school, be prepared, is all I'm saying. And Phil put up a link at the Liberty and Freedom Network page on Facebook. America's newest vaccine. Posted today by Bob Livingston over at personalliberty.com. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate your work. It says, in medicine under the germ theory of disease, vaccines are supposed to provide immunity by introducing the disease to the body in small doses, allowing the body to build up its germ-fighting abilities. Of course, this is not so, as Bob pointed out in a previous article. It continues, but that theory is now being employed on Americans in another way that has nothing to do with medicine and everything to do with control. Americans are being vaccinated into acceptance of martial law and military rule. Military vehicles from the U.S. Army Reserve patrolling the streets of Sheboygan County in Wisconsin that began August 5th will continue through August 17th are part of, get this, are part of a quote-unquote training exercise. according to Captain William Geddes of the 200th Military Police Command at Fort Meade, Maryland. But those soldiers have already, quote-unquote, trained in the use of the M117 armored security vehicles in Afghanistan. So the training is more to train the American public. Geddes said the U.S. Army Reserve wanted to alert the public, but apparently not those in the local government, ahead of the training so they wouldn't be alarmed when a pack of heavily armed military vehicles is driving around. Remember, there is nothing to see here. Just move along. This is just the latest in a series of ongoing violations of the Posse Comitatus Act, which has been abolished, by the way, which is supposed to prevent the military from engaging in domestic law enforcement activities. Recent quote-unquote vaccinations include, and there's a whole list of them. I'm gonna read this whole article, so bear with me, folks. If you're listening in the podcast, you can always pause and come back. This is just the latest in a series of ongoing violations of Posse Comitatus, which is supposed to prevent the military from engaging in domestic law enforcement activities. Recent vaccinations, quote-unquote, include, 1, a joint drill between the U.S. Army and the Miami Police Department in May. 2, troops from the Minnesota National Guard, which had been deployed to Iraq, working in the streets of Crookston, Minnesota in May. One soldier told a resident it was training. When asked what the training was for, he grunted. The grunted reply was, to be honest, ma'am, I don't know. They're told to do their job. They're following orders. Number 3, troops from the Bravo Company of the Minnesota National Guard's Crookston Armory conducted, quote, urban operations training, unquote, with Humvees and 27 soldiers in February. Number 4, in Homestead, Florida, the Air Force military police patrolmen from Homestead Air Reserve Base are responding to crimes and detaining criminals for local police. Number 5, the National Guard assisting police in traffic control and providing quote-unquote security in Kingman, Arizona in 2009. Number 6, the Tennessee National Guard and Arnold Air Force Base police assisting the Tennessee Highway Patrol and U.S. Department of Homeland Security with a traffic checkpoint in 2009. Number 7, the U.S. Army sending 22 military police and an officer from Fort Rooker to patrol the streets of Sampson, Alabama, following a shooting in 2009. Number 8, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Marine Corps Air and Ground Combat Center, working with the California Highway Patrol to, quote, reduce accidents and drinking and driving, unquote, in San Bernardino County, California in 2008. Number 9, the U.S. military expects to have 20,000 uniformed troops inside the U.S. trained to respond to domestic threats, according to the Washington Post. Number 10, the battle-hardened 3rd Infantry Division 1st Brigade Combat Team training in the United States to, quote, help with civil unrest, crowd control, and deal with potential horrific scenarios, unquote, like a terrorist attack. These troops were to be the first of what would soon become a permanent operation, according to a 2008 report in the Army Times. Number 11, in 2005, in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, police and Louisiana National Guard troops unlawfully confiscated legal weapons and forced residents from their homes. The frequency is increasing. Similarly, local police departments are becoming increasingly militarized, and the Department of Homeland Security is purchasing more and more military-grade weapons, ammunition, and hardware. On January 1st, President Barack Obama signed the National Defense Authorization Act. No, Bob, he didn't, the author of this article. He signed it on December 31st, 2011. Which legalized the indefinite detention of Americans as suspended habeas corpus. And although federal judge Catherine Forrest issued a preliminary injunction in May that prevented the Obama administration from exercising the indefinite detention authority, that injunction has been appealed by the Obama administration, a fact ignored by the mainstream media. By the way, I live in the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada, and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and Republican from Nevada, Dean Heller, have signed on for indefinite detention of Americans. Continuing, the U.S. Patriot Act passed in the aftermath of the false flag 9/11 attacks. See also Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. 1,450 architects are not wrong, folks. Essentially stripped Americans of their Fourth Amendment and much of their First Amendment rights. While it was proposed by George W. Bush in the Republican-controlled Congress, it was approved by both Republicans and Democrats. It has since been reauthorized 3 times, again by both Republicans and Democrats. You see where all this is going, folks? Do you understand where all of this is going? Okay? Continuing. Americans can now be assassinated by the president on a whim. Unemployment has been above 8% for 42 months. No, folks, it's not 8%. In Nevada alone, it is cruising at the altitude of about 25%. It's larger. It's somewhere in, countrywide, it's somewhere like 13 or 14, maybe even 15%. Continuing, Americans can now be assassinated by the president on a whim. Unemployment has been above 8% for 42 months. Gas prices are rising again. Food prices worldwide are rising, and food shortages are a real possibility thanks to excessive heat and drought conditions across the United States. Yes, your wheat prices have gone through the roof because drought. Cows are dying. Beef prices are going up. It's all connected, folks. Thank you, chemtrails. Continuing, welfare is the only thing staving off mass riots and the complete breakdown of law and order. There are now more than 100 million Americans, or almost a third of the U.S. population, 320 million people last count, receiving some sort of federal welfare. More than 54 million Americans are on Medicaid, and more than 45 million Americans are on food stamps. Folks, this is the greatest nation in the world. Why are we starving? We got a bunch of agriculture here, but why? Because we send all that overseas. Other companies and countries come over here, buy up all these farms, and then send the crap overseas. Send all their food and stuff overseas. Genetically modified organisms, of course, filled with all kinds of crap. Continuing, Social Security recipients who have defaulted on student loans are having their Social Security checks docked. Yes, I know someone personally that has happened to just within the last 6 months. Their retirement and pension funds are stagnant at best. There's no COLA, cost of living adjustment. And even if there is, there's no extra money to buy anything. Continuing, the Federal Reserve has kept interest rates at near zero for more than 4 years. This is a war on and destruction of American savers and retirees. Once these retirees begin seeing cuts to their Social Security checks and trying to buy more expensive food, gas, and medicine with less money, something will have to give. Clearly, the stage is being set for the imposition of martial law. The government is using false flag mass shootings to grease the skids for gun confiscation. The threat of homegrown terror attacks to overturn Posse Comitatus once and for all, and false flag FBI orchestrated terror threats to keep the fear factor high. The Founding Fathers feared a standing army as much as they feared anything that could take away liberties. That's the main purpose behind the Second Amendment. The collapse, or what I call the Great Reset, Bob says, is coming. The elites are preparing for it by stocking up on weapons and inoculating Americans into acceptance of military rule. Thank you, Bill, for sending me that article. That is absolutely and positively right on. Okay? It's right on. There's no other way around it. There's no other way of looking at it. I know people are going to look at me or yell at their computer and say, that's all bullcrap. That can't happen. Then you got the people that are saying, well, we need to vote people into office. It's all the same, folks. We can't vote people out and vote others into office. It's all going to be the same. You know why? Because they're all puppets. They're all being ruled by the Bilderberg Group. David Rockefeller, the Rothschilds over in Europe, China. Go to Walmart. Go to any store, dollar store, 99-cent store, whatever. Go to any place you want. Chances are when you look at where the stuff was made, it will say made in China or made in Pakistan or made in Honduras. We saw that yesterday when we went out. Hardly anything is American made anymore. Except for our guts, except for who we are. We the people need to stand up and say enough's enough. We need to tell the government, get your jack-booted foot off my freedom. There's going to come a time when the black-suited, jack-booted stormtroopers are going to come into your house, take everything they want, take you off to a FEMA re-education camp somewhere, and that's it. There's a new movie. Well, not a new movie. It's a remake. Red Dawn. Remember that? With Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen? Remember that movie? I think it was Patrick Swayze. Remember that? They're coming out with a remake. And they're trying to... They're saying it's the North Koreans coming into America. It's all that... No. Don't believe it. In other words, it's like a magician. I've known magicians in my life. I've met them. They've performed sleight of hand tricks about a foot away from my eyes, and I still can't figure out how they do it. But it's a sleight of hand trick. Hey, look over here. Look at the nice shiny things over here. While on the other side of the room, the old lady's getting beat up because she won't, give up her Social Security. You know what I mean? There was a picture I saw. A guy was walking down the street, and behind this guy was a puppeteer. That's all I can say. It was a guy all in black. The head was in, and he was holding on to this guy's head in front of him, turning it to the left, while to the right, next to the wall of a building on the sidewalk, was some transient, all passed out on the street, on the sidewalk. Nothing to see here. Move along now. Let me zero it down for you and get right down to the bottom line, if I may. There are people out there, the vast majority of the people that I know are awake. They're awake, they're aware, they know what's going on, they see this. And I know, and I've heard, and I listen to Alex Jones, and I read different things as well. And current military and law enforcement officers who call into the Alex Jones show and say, look, yeah, this is what they're training us for. To confiscate people's guns, to go in and to, do what they have to do. Do what they have to do. Plus... there was over at copblock.org, one of the creators of that site was arrested, charged with a felony for wiretapping. Ademo, I believe is his name, Ademo Freeman. He was arrested and charged with 3 felony counts of wiretapping. Why? Because he called the police department. There were some things going on, a video of a student in a high school where the security guard walked up, picked this student up, and slammed him on the table. Well, this copblock.org reporter wanted to, get that out there, that this is an uncalled for whatever. Yeah, he called the local people there, the law enforcement or whatever, and told them that I'm from copblock.org. It's a, news site, and it is a news site. It's not a blogger site. It's a news site. So you're expecting, when someone calls you and says they're from this sort of organization and you know it's a news site, your chances of being recorded are very, very good. And you should assume that you're going to be recorded. The court says he didn't inform them that this is what he was doing. Well, duh. He told them where he was from. There is no resemblance of privacy whatsoever, or expectation of privacy, when a journalist calls you up and says, hey, I'd like to get your, side of this. Okay? Of course, he's going to go to court and do all that and take it out there. But there's no freedom of press anymore. There's no freedom of press. If you don't line up with the big cheese up there in Washington, D.C., and do what he says, you're not part of the group. Well, listen up, Mr. President. I'm picking up my ball and going to a safer place to be. You know what I'm saying? And guess what, Mr. President? 70% of your military that you're trying to get under your New World Order contracts under the UN are not going to confiscate my weapon. They've already said so. I've got 3 weapons going for me. Spiritual, and you don't want to mess with that. I've got the freedom of press, and I've got the Second Amendment. You might be able to take 2 of those away from me, but I guarantee you that other one you ain't even going to raise a finger to take away. Why do you think, and I said this earlier about the churches signing the 501c3 document, the nonprofit? Don't, because that gives the government full reign of your church. It does. Full reign. You do what the government tells you to do. They can come into your church and say, oh, what, you're preaching Jesus Christ as personal Lord and Savior? No. You can't do that anymore. What? No, here's what you have to do. Don't talk about Jesus. Here's what you have to, oh, by the way, you need a Muslim, you need a Jew, and you need, someone else on your staff. What? Well, other than that last part, this is what happened in Orthodox Catholicism in Russia. They had this freedom of preaching what they needed to preach and teach. The Russian government came in and went, no, you're going to do it this way. And they had to, or they'd get killed. And most of them did. I can go into the whole Islamic thing or whatever, but I won't. I'll be nice. I'll be nice. So anyway, hey, I'll be back after this short break. Well, actually, it's a little over 3 minutes, so go do what you got to do. I shall return. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. That is from 1984 by George Orwell. Do you really want to know what's going on? Come listen to The Views Express, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, only on the Liberty and Freedom Network.
Listen to Angel Clark, Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the Radio Freedom News Network. RadioFreedom.us.
Hey, BK, how's your show going to be any different on KTRNradio.com?
Well, Jay, I want to make it more upbeat and more informative.
Wow, that sounds good, BK.
That BK Show, now every morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on KTRNradio.com. New time, new station, but the same BK.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Do you wear your sunglasses at night? Well, maybe you do some other crazy things too. Why not add The Sandy Fox Show to your list? You can find me on Spreaker.com, Icecast.org, and TuneIn.com. Fox out.
As long as the Matrix exists, the human race will never be free.
Welcome. This is The Views Expressed. I am your host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. This is for the 13th of August, 2012, broadcasting live from the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada, behind enemy lines in FEMA Region 9, the big silver state of Nevada. Broadcasting live on Spreaker.com, or if you happen to be on the website, go check that out as well. I got a book there called Many Directions of Man. Many Directions of Man. You can buy that book, or you can go to the right-hand side, left-hand side of the screen and see a bunch of tabs. One says store. You can go there and buy stuff if you like. There's also a donate button there. You can donate as much as you like because this is a listener-supported broadcast. Again, it's the 13th of August, 2012. This is a short segment, long segment coming up. Just want to get into an article there on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Talked about it earlier today in a podcast. You may want to go check that out. Earlier, I talked about an executive order. Executive orders from the president, who had signed 293 of them in the last so many months he's been in office. You can click on the link, Executive Order National Defense Resources Preparedness, on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. It's quite lengthy. I'm only going to read you Section 103, General Functions, and Section 104, Implementation. You can go check out the rest. To read the rest, go to Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. This is the Executive Order National Defense Resources Preparedness, Section 103, General Functions. Executive departments and agencies responsible for plans and programs relating to national defense as defined in Section 801J of this order or for resources and services needed to support such plans and programs, shall A. identify requirements for the full spectrum of emergencies, including essential military and civilian demand. B. Assess on an ongoing basis the capability of the domestic industrial and technological base to satisfy requirements in peacetime and times of national emergency, specifically evaluating the availability of the most critical resource and production sources, including subcontractors and suppliers, materials, skilled labor, and professional and technical personnel. Section C, or number C, be prepared. The functions of all of this also says, be prepared in an event of a potential threat to the security of the United States to take action and necessary to ensure the availability of adequate resources and production capability, including services and critical technology for national defense requirements. D. Improve the efficiency and responsiveness of the domestic industrial base to support national defense requirements. And E. Foster cooperation between the defense and commercial sectors for research and development and for acquisition of materials, services, components, and equipment to enhance industrial base efficiency and responsiveness. Okay? Let me jump back up to letter B under Section 103, General Functions of the National Defense Resources Preparedness Executive Order. Assess on an ongoing basis the capability of the domestic industrial and technological base to satisfy requirements in peacetime and times of national emergency, specifically evaluating the availability of the most critical resource and production sources, including subcontractors and suppliers, materials, skilled labor, and professional and technical personnel. What do you think is going to be in the re-education FEMA camps? Going down to Section 104, Implementation. A. The National Security Council and Homeland Security Council, in conjunction with the National Economic Council, shall serve as the integrated policy-making forum for consideration and formulation of national defense resource preparedness policy, and shall make recommendations to the President on the use of authorities under the Act. B. The Secretary of Homeland Security shall, 1. Advise the President on issues of national defense resource preparedness and on the use of the authorities and functions delegated by this order. 2. Provide for the central coordination of the plans and programs incident and to authorities and functions delegated under this order, and provide guidance to the agencies assigned functions under this order developed in consultation with such agencies. And 3, report to the President periodically concerning all program activities conducted pursuant to this order. C. The Defense Production Act Committee, described in Section 701 of this order, shall, 1, now, there's some numbers here, folks, and resources that I want you to get. In a manner consistent with Section 2B of the Act 50 U.S.C. APP period 2062 advise the President through the Assistant to the President and National Security Advisor, the Assistant to the President for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism, and the Assistant to the President for Economic Policy on the effective use of the authorities under the Act. And 2, prepare and coordinate an annual report to the Congress pursuant to Section 722D, as in dog, of the Act 50 USC APP period 2171D, as in dog. D, the Secretary of Commerce, in cooperation with the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and other agencies, shall 1. Analyze potential effects of national emergencies on actual production capability, taking into account the entire production system, including shortages of resources, and develop recommended preparedness measures to strengthen capabilities for production increases in national securities. And 2. Perform industry analysis to assess capabilities of the industrial base to support the national defense and develop policy recommendations to improve the international competitiveness of specific domestic industries and their abilities to meet national defense program needs. Now that sounds all well and good, does it not? But getting down to the crux of the matter, what do they consider resources? What do they consider resources? What do they consider to be, what is it? It's you and I. We get thrown in a camp somewhere. If they've got a project going on, remember that movie Bridge on the River Kwai with Alec Guinness? Bingo. They had a bridge to build. That's an actual thing. That actually happened. Probably not the way the movie said. It was probably Hollywood on that part, but it actually happened. They took prisoners and built a bridge. Okay? American British prisoners and built a bridge. It will happen. This is what they want. Okay? This is what they want. You can go to Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook and click on Executive Order National Defense Resource Preparedness to read the rest. It is from White House or WH.gov. Okay? Militarized police deployed against civilians in Anaheim, California. Isn't it lovely? Isn't it lovely? Okay? There's so many things that are going on that a lot of people are just sitting around going, hey man, when's the next football game? When's the next Reno Aces game? When's, I don't give a crap. I want to come home from work, from a hard day's work, have a beer, sit down and watch my sports program. I don't want to listen to all that crap. Really? Listen up, Bubba. You might come home from work. You might be a patriot and you might have served your country. But I guarantee you one day you're going to get a jack-booted stormtrooper coming into your living room, taking everything you got and hauling you and your family off to a FEMA camp somewhere. And if you don't get your head out of your ass and realize this is going to happen, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I said ass. Yeah. It's about PG. That's as much PG, and I'm gonna go. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I gotta ask you listeners a question. Like I said, this is a short segment, so I'm gonna go to break here in a few minutes. I gotta ask you all a question. Now, just, chill out for a minute. Some people say, why are you so excited? I always say, well, aren't you? Someone's trying to take your rights away. What are you going to do about it? Well, if the scanners in the airports are going to keep me safe from them terrorists, dude, Sacramento International Airport in California had them hauled out of there. The airport themselves told TSA, get the hell out. We don't need you. Okay? Other airports are doing the same thing. Airports? Ooh. My lips, they're not working. Other airports have said, get out. We don't want you. MIT and other universities have already said that those body scanners give you 10 to 20 times more radiation than a single x-ray in your doctor's office. And it is killing you. Okay? So my question to you is this. All right? My question to you is this. If you were in a position that said you can do whatever you need to do, would you do it? Now, a lot of people, I know that's just a vague question. There's really no substance to that question. I know that. But here is what is happening. These folks are going into the military, into law enforcement academies, coming out and being so brainwashed that the excuse that they're going to have for taking your guns or throwing your butt in jail or throwing your butt in a FEMA camp is they're just following orders. So that gives a new perspective on that question. If you had the ability, the capability of doing what you want, would you? Okay? Well, let me rephrase that question and say this. If your boss at work said, say you're in a manufacturing, said, okay, we're going to change this because it's better. And if you yourself looked at the schematics of what you were building and said, sir, no, that's not better, because what it's going to do, it's going to create this problem here. Your boss looks at you and says, no, you're going to do it my way, and that's the way it's going to be. But, sir, it's going to, no, my way or the highway. If you knew it was going to damage the product and possibly hurt the customer, what would you do? Now do you see what's happening? The government is telling you, you have to live this way. This is what you're going to do. And you're going, no, it's going to affect us. So we don't care. You're going to do it. And you as a citizen are going to go, no, wait, we can't do that because, and the government pops up saying, no. We're Washington, D.C. You do what we tell you to do. Now the question becomes clear. Think about it. Going to break. Be back right after this.
You lousy corksuckers.
Well, seems like nothing's working. So obviously I think if you're not hearing me, please let me know. Or if you are hearing me, or if it breaks up and whatever, if something's wrong, let me know. But anyway, I'm going to take off here. I'm going to reset. I'm going to come back. We'll be back. Don't worry. With the Views Express Live Part 2, all right? All righty.